Live from the KFOX 14 studios in El Paso and Las Cruces, you're watching the Emmy Award-winning KFOX 14 News at 9.
That will tell the public of El Paso, you know what, we're fighting for you. We are not going to be told what to do by an outside entity.
A former member of the El Paso Children's Board tells KFOX 14 it's in the hospital's best interest to file for bankruptcy. His reasons why in less than 5 minutes. But first, KFOX 14 has team coverage on veteran care improving in the borderland. There's a new program to help veterans get the physical care they deserve, and also a bill aimed at getting suicide rates down. Good evening, I'm Erica Castillo.
And I'm John Purvis. First on Fox tonight. It's a staggering statistic. Each and every day, 22 U.S. military veterans choose to end their own lives. Numbers like this have led both the government and veterans advocates to work on solutions aimed at reducing these tragedies. KFOX 14 News at 9's Megan Lopez starts our team coverage live in East El Paso with details on the latest efforts.
Up until the past decade or so, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, was rarely recognized, and doctors knew even less about how to treat it. These days, there are known links between PTSD and suicide. The challenge now is taking this information and figuring out a way to use it to treat returning troops.
Today, we honor a young man who isn't here but should be here. Clay Hunt was a proud Texan.
From tragedy to hope.
Today, I will sign the Clay Hunt SAVE Act into law. And SAVE stands for Suicide Prevention for American Veterans.
After a year of negative headlines, the Veteran Affairs Administration finally has something to celebrate. The new Clay Hunt SAV Act creates a website to help veterans who are considering suicide find the help they need.
They're going to establish a website, internet website, that provides basically a one-stop shop where veterans can go for information with regard to mental health services.
It also creates an evaluation system for prevention programs, increases cooperation between the VA and nonprofit organizations, and creates a community support network of fellow veterans. Perhaps most importantly, it creates a pilot program to bring in psychiatrists to the VA by offering to pay off their school loans.
We have a need for psychiatrists in the VA. I think that's a critical need for psychiatrists. What the law will provide, it will provide a pilot program where there will be a repayment of loans that maybe psychiatrists may have in the VA.
Promising to pay $30,000 of loans off for every year of service. During his speech, President Obama reflected on his visit to Fort Bliss.
I think of the soldiers I sat down with at Fort Bliss a few years ago, and they told me they were proud to serve but struggled with challenges like post-traumatic stress.
And the hero the U.S. lost when 28-year-old Marine Clay Hunt took his own life.
I wish I had gotten a chance to know Clay.
Saying it's too late to help Clay, but this new law could help others like him.
We have to end this tragedy of suicide among our troops and veterans.
For the most part, veterans I spoke with are optimistic about this new law and the emphasis that the VA is putting on treating and preventing suicide. However, there were some people who did not want to speak on camera who say that they're not actually sure that this law is going to make much of a difference since the VA has been so unhelpful to them in the past. Reporting live in Northeast El Paso, Megan Lopez, KFOX 14 News at 9.
In Las Cruces, VA officials say there's a growing need for veteran home-based primary care. Just last year, the Veteran Administration started a program to care for veterans in their own homes, and it's growing at a rapid rate. KFOX 14 News at 9's Crystal Price continues our team coverage live in the studio with how the VA plans to expand this program.
Well, the key thing here is they want to care for more veterans at their homes if the veteran is unable to go to the clinic on their own. Within the last year, they've already served 90 veterans through the program in Las Cruces. And as they anticipate serving more in the future, they say they have no other option but to expand.
Ready, set, go.
Victor Munoz is your typical father and husband.
Dinner for two.
But he's also a veteran. Medically discharged from the Marines, he says he developed tumors in his nervous system, and today he can't use his legs like he used to.
I couldn't run if I tried, you know. I have certain limitations on walking and doing different things.
He started patient rehab a few years ago, But he says sometimes it would be hard to make it to the VA clinic.
Sitting for prolonged periods of time or standing for prolonged periods of time is really challenging for me.
Then he heard about the VA home-based primary care program in Las Cruces.
How have you been feeling lately?
A program that brings the VA healthcare provider to the home.
Medication has changed.
I can just wait here at home because I have the option of laying in my bed waiting or waiting in a chair or whatever.
It's a program that's benefiting not only Victor, but 90 other veterans who have received everything from physical health care to mental health care in their home.
Because we grew so fast.
Program manager Linda Rollins says that not too long ago, they were able to expand their services to Deming, Alamogordo, and other rural parts of southwestern New Mexico, something she says is necessary as the demand goes up.
Several waiting to come on. We take them on as fast as we can.
And with more veterans to care for, means they're hiring more workers. Rollins says they started with just 2 RN nurses, but by the end of March, they'll have a total of 11 workers on board, so that more veterans like Victor can get the care they need.
There's no words for describing the appreciation I have for all the ones that come here and take care of them.
The program manager says they are seeing a rise in more post-9/11 veterans seeking home-based primary care. For more information on how a veteran can qualify for this program, go to our website at kfoxtv.com and click on this story. Reporting live in the studio, Crystal Price, KFOX 14 News at 9.
If the El Paso Children's Hospital doesn't agree with the terms proposed by University Medical Center, they could file for bankruptcy. As we reported to you, Children's has until the end of business tomorrow to agree to terms that would give UMC more control over its finances, CEO, and board. A bankruptcy lawyer says filing Chapter 11 could be in the best interest of the Children's Hospital because it would allow them to continue to provide medical care.
They can continue making payments and operate. The plan will typically get rid of a lot of unsecured debt, restructure the payments so that the company is able to continue operating and eventually come out of Chapter 11 and operating without any unordinary expense.
A former member of the El Paso Children's Hospital Board of Directors feels the same way. He says the hospital should not accept the terms of the ultimatum delivered by University Medical Center to pay off its debt. Tomorrow's the deadline for that ultimatum. KFOX 14 News at 9 Stacey Wells tells us why this pediatrician believes bankruptcy may be the best option for El Paso Children's Hospital.
I read the ultimatum, and that's like a slap in the face.
Dr. Carlos Gutierrez says fighting for a children's hospital in El Paso for the last 3 decades has practically been his life's work. The pediatrician says he served on the Children's Hospital board for about 3 years.
I try to admit all of my patients to the El Paso Children's Hospital because I feel the care is second to none. It is amazing. It's outstanding.
As we reported, University Medical Center claims the Children's Hospital owes UMC nearly $90 million as of December 31st. The Children's Hospital Board released a statement yesterday saying it did come up with an agreement with UMC at a meeting last week on how to pay back the debt, but claims the terms UMC released this week don't reflect that agreement. While El Paso County Judge Veronica Escobar says bankruptcy would be the worst possible option, Gutierrez says bankruptcy would show the Children's Hospital answers to the public.
That will tell the public of El Paso, you know what, we're fighting for you. We are not going to be told what to do by an outside entity.
Because UMC's terms include preventing the Children's Hospital from making big financial decisions on its own, Gutierrez says the Children's Hospital Board should not have to respond to those terms by tomorrow.
To me, that's like a puppet board or a puppet CEO. It's a joke. And I hope and pray that our board doesn't put up with that stuff.
He also says if Children's accepts UMC's terms, specialists working at the Children's Hospital might not want to work under near full UMC control.
As good intentions as they have, in my gut feeling and in my heart, I can see our community pediatricians say, forget it, we're not working for UMC. And where does that leave our kids? That leaves them in the same situation we were 4 years ago.
A spokesperson for the Children's Hospital Board tells me the board is still working on setting a meeting with Commissioner's Court to discuss this issue. Stacey Welsh, KFOX 14 News at 9.
Because there would have to be notice of a meeting with Commissioner's Court 3 days in advance, that can't happen before UMC's deadline tomorrow. Dr. Gutierrez also says he looks forward to the Children's Hospital Board publicly presenting its case in the debt debate. You can count on KFOX 14 to bring you the newest information on the future of El Paso Children's Hospital and its financial dispute with UMC. We'll keep you posted here on KFOX 14 as well as online at kfoxtv.com along with our Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Police need your help catching this man. If you can see him from this picture, they say he broke into a daycare van and stole a battery in East El Paso. Surveillance video caught the images of the suspect. Police say the incident happened on Saturday, February 14th, about 4 in the morning at the Angel Keeper daycare on George Dieter. He pulls up to the daycare in what looks like a red 90s model Ford Thunderbird and then breaks the van window, jumps inside, and takes the battery. If you have any information on this suspect, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers of El Paso at 566-8477. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers arrest a man for human trafficking after finding a woman hidden in his pickup truck. Officers say it happened at about 8 a.m. this morning at the Sleta International Crossing. The truck's bed had high walls to carry large loads, and what you're looking at there is a non-factory compartment built just above the cab. Well, inside that compartment, they found a Mexican female. She was taken into custody. The driver was arrested and booked into the El Paso County Jail.
A former member of the El Paso Catholic Diocese School Board today pleads guilty to 1 count of downloading child pornography. As KFOX 14 first reported last August, when Victor Jerome Reza was arrested, federal prosecutors accuse him of using a file-sharing program to download at least 8 child porn videos. He's scheduled to be sentenced on May 11th.
The Federal Communications Commission today votes to regulate broadband internet service as a public utility.
It means cable companies like Time Warner and Comcast will be treated like phone companies. The new FCC rules aim to preserve something known as net neutrality, meaning all consumers get equal access to all legal content on the internet at the same speed. Nothing much will change for the typical consumer, who can already get faster internet service if they're willing to pay more. The rules aim to give the FCC some say in how internet service providers, usually cable companies, operate. In most U.S. markets, a single cable company acts as a monopoly, the only choice for local consumers. The new FCC rules are probably just the start of a long legal fight.
This is going to be tied up in the courts for some time to come. And the problem with that is it creates uncertainty. It means less investment in the build out of the internet, which is what we all should have as a goal.
Cable companies have already indicated they plan to challenge the new FCC rules in court.
El Paso Water Utilities wants to warn customers about a scheme involving people who are pretending to work for the company. El Paso Water Utilities says several customers have reported receiving phone calls from either unknown numbers or a 1888 number. These callers request personal account information or demand payment for overdue balances. The utility just wants all its customers to know that it does not ever make collection calls to any customer. It is considered a dangerous divide between the United States and Israel. KFOX 14 is hosting a Your Voice, Your Future town hall this Tuesday evening. It's set to get underway at 5. You can listen to roundtable discussions on our website, kfoxtv.com. And in 28 minutes, we'll tell you about a terrorist who U.S. officials have identified as one of the world's most dangerous people.
The data doesn't lie. Digi in downtown El Paso was a big hit. The number of touches the digital wall got in its first week.
A reality check. Why college students were taking the stand in El Paso today.
Trying to make history. What stands in the way of the NMSU women's basketball team doing something it hasn't done in 20 years?
Well, we're in for a cold night. Why this won't last for long is next on KFOX 14 News at 9. Coverage you can count on.
UTEP men's basketball coach Tim Floyd is thrown out of tonight's game against Louisiana Tech tonight. Floyd was upset over a call and lashed out at the refs, even pushed a player. He eventually was thrown out. Tonight's game would have put UTEP in first place in Conference USA, but the Miners fell to the Bulldogs 77-60. No word on what may happen to Coach Floyd, but he could possibly face disciplinary action.
From our exclusive Las Cruces Bureau, it's been 20 years since the NMSU women's basketball team won a conference title, but that could change this weekend. KFOX 14 News at 9's Patrick Hayes tells us how the team hopes to make history.
The New Mexico State women's basketball team started their season by losing 5 games in a row. Now they're 18-7, hoping to win a conference championship Saturday and then earn a spot in the NC2A tournament. Players tell me the success was sudden, but they can do better.
Definitely not expected, especially based on how we started off, a little rough, but I'm glad that we came together and we figured each other out, and we have chemistry on and off the court, and I think that really reflects on our wins.
It's good, but I feel like we can, there's always more. There's always more that we can do. There's always more success that can be achieved.
Last week, the Aggies beat Grand Canyon University and clinched at least a share of the WAC Conference Championship.
And hopefully we're not finished. Hopefully we can show real well in the tournament and go to the NC2A tournament for the first time in 25 years.
Track recently picked up his 50th win, thanks in part to stellar performances from junior Sasha Weber and sophomore Brianna Freeman.
Well, Brianna's improved 100%. She averaged 6 points a game last year, and she's averaging 18 points a game, and she's a legitimate Player of the Year candidate. And Sasha's going to go down as one of the all-time great players here, and she's also a Player of the Year candidate and has made a lot of big shots for us down the stretch.
If the Aggies win on Saturday and dominate at the WAC basketball tournament in Vegas, they'll be on the fast track to the NC2A tournament, which hasn't been done since 1988.
I don't feel like any of us understand how big it is yet. Because, I still don't understand it. I don't feel like we'll understand it until we get there.
Patrick Hayes, KFOX 14, News at 9.
NMSU hopes to pack the Pan Am Center for Saturday night's big game. Tickets are on sale for $6 for adults, while students and kids can get in for free. There's a bowling tournament coming to El Paso that will rank as one of the biggest sporting events to ever hit the borderland.
El Paso is hosting the U.S. Bowling Congress Open Championship starting next Saturday. The event will bring between 50 to 60,000 people into El Paso and an estimated $75 million.
There's going to be 1,000 people in town any given day that are going to be wandering around. It'll be tougher to get a seat in a restaurant. The hotel rooms will be full, and that's exactly what we wanted for.
The convention center has been completely transformed into a state-of-the-art bowling alley with more than 50 lanes. The Sports Commission spent more than $1 million to help bring the conference to El Paso. Students experience the life-altering consequences of drinking and driving. El Paso Community College hosted the Shattered Dreams event this week. The event is an acted-out scenario of students who are involved in a DWI car crash. In the mock event, 1 person dies and 2 are taken to the hospital. The drunk driver is taken into custody and went on mock trial today.
Shattered Dreams event actually did what we wanted it to do, which was to stir their conscience and to make them aware of what will happen if they drink and drive. So it brought up a level of emotion and awareness that they are now hopefully will make all the appropriate decisions.
This is the first time the Shattered Dreams event has taken place in a college campus here in El Paso. And on that note, remember, KFOX 14 and Mattress Firm are teamed up to stop distracted driving, which is also dangerous. The Let It Wait campaign is our community effort against distracted driving, which kills thousands of people every year and seriously injures even more. To learn more about that program and to take the pledge not to text and drive, just go to kfoxtv.com and click on our traffic tab.
The El Paso Children's Hospital has a hero on staff. Sergio Pena received the Citizen Hero Award from the city of San Antonio. Pena, a registered respiratory therapist at the Children's Hospital, saw a man down on the ground outside the San Antonio airport and came to his rescue. The man had no pulse, so Pena performed CPR on him and was able to save his life. Pena has since returned to work here, and so has the man he saved. He's an officer with the San Antonio Airport Police Department.
Starting today, nearly 200 students compete for the title of the region's best speller in the borderland. The El Paso Times Spelling Bee kicked off this morning at Bel Air High School. Nearly 200 elementary and middle school students from across El Paso and southern New Mexico are competing for the title over the next 2 days. This is the 71st annual edition of the region's Spelling Bee.
I think we had more kids make it through the first round this year than I've ever seen before, so they really came prepared. And we've got a good group that came out of about 15 or so who'll be back here for the finals on Friday.
The title winner will represent the El Paso region at the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C. in May. The new interactive wall at the El Paso Museum of History, also known as Digi, seems to be a great success. Between February 14th and February 22nd, more than 3,000 people visited the exhibit. Digi recorded more than 700,000 touches during the week. Visitors have viewed more than 56,000 images and have created more than 1,000 digital images of their own.
In the right place at the right time. Learn how one police veteran's vacation leads to some off-duty work.
A possible government shutdown, what the president and Republicans in Congress cannot seem to agree on.
Winds are here for some time. How that will bring back spring-like conditions is next on KFOX 14 News at 9.
Time for weather now, and I feel like winter is sort of stalking us a little bit. Needs to just, move on and let spring come in already.
I know. I think a lot of us have been kind of spoiled with those days in between storms where it's just so beautiful. We're like, okay, we're done with winter.
And then it comes back.
That's right. And I don't blame you. And guess what? It's back.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. We do have our little short wave, I guess you could say, a fairly strong one, but it's moving east of here, and that's going to keep tracking east, but it's going to move through the overnight hours. What it's doing is bringing some snows up north of us. We have some rain out towards Silver City, and then you head in towards the Cloudcroft and Ruidoso areas, and that's where we're seeing a better chance for some snow. These are the areas that may see some precipitation. I don't think we're necessarily going to see accumulations here in the lowlands. Nonetheless, we're staying cool. We're staying a bit breezy, but it's going to be a cold night for us. We have winds right now, generally to about maybe 10 miles per hour, but the temperatures are already in the 30s. We have El Paso at 36 degrees, Las Cruces 38, TRC 44, Deming 46. A cold night already. We had that cold front come through this morning, and that is why we were cool and windy for today. And it's going to basically kind of just hang out as a stationary front through Friday, keeping us cool again and breezy to windy. It's really not until about the weekend that we get our next storm system setting up well off to the west, but already shifting our winds to the southwest. And that, my friend, is going to push that air north and east of here, and it's going to be a warm air mass. Winds are going to increase, and we are going to see those temperatures back in the mid-70s over the weekend. So we're going from 50s back to the 70s. But of course, just as Erica mentioned, it just seems to just kind of last a day or two, and then it goes away. And by Monday, we get our storm system that's from the west moving in, bringing more winds and rain. So for tonight, staying a bit on the breezy to windy side with temperatures in the mid-30s for the overnight low in El Paso, lower 30s in Las Cruces. Look at what I'm talking about. I'm talking about temperatures in the 50s tomorrow, reaching to near 70 by Saturday, and still rising even more by Sunday. Unfortunately, the winds are hanging out. So tonight, windy and cold with more yo-yo temperatures and rain returning. What the rain chances look like are in your 5-day forecast with the weekend always in view.
An important message, the tough way one principal takes a stand against cyberbullying.
Catering to Kids, the company that's introducing a new app specifically for children.
A heartless thief, a community's response after someone steals donations aimed at helping a young girl pay her medical bills. Next on KFOX 14 News at 9, coverage you can count on. So far, Congress has not been able to resolve differences to allow funding for the Department of Homeland Security to continue past tomorrow. But the House has taken up a bill tonight that would fund DHS for 3 weeks, while the political wrangling continues. To move forward with the bill funding the Department of Homeland Security, Republicans in the Senate removed a provision that would have reversed the president's recent executive actions on immigration.
Let's not be confused about why we don't have comprehensive immigration reform right now. It's very simple. The Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, refused to call the bill.
It's not clear if such a so-called clean bill would come up for a vote in the House without at least some added restrictions on the administration's immigration policies.
A Harris County mother is arrested, and her 4-year-old son is in the hospital tonight after deputies say she stabbed the boy. Officials say the child was stabbed several times. His injuries so severe, he had to be flown to the nearest hospital in Houston. Deputies say they have the mother in custody, but there's no word yet on the motive behind the stabbing. A principal in Massachusetts is taking a stand against cyberbullies. He's issued a warning calling them cowards and promising to find and punish them. This comes after 24 students were the targets of bullying on Twitter at his school. The principal says the anonymous tweets were crude and vulgar. The principal is a former soldier who served in Iraq, and in his email to students, he said he has more respect for the insurgents that he fought in Iraq than for the people behind the Twitter account, because at least the insurgents didn't hide behind social media.
Probably shouldn't have said that. It was a little harsh, but you know, I was trying to convey the seriousness of the situation.
The principal says the majority of his parents at his school support his tough position. He also says that other students are helping him track down the cyberbullies.
A sad story out of Hawaii where a man steals a donation jar meant for an 8-year-old girl. Surveillance camera caught the man stealing the jar when the store clerk turned his back. The store manager is heartbroken. He set up the donation jar for the young girl who has an inflammatory disease that has attacked her heart. The money would have helped pay her growing medical bills.
Do not care about an 8-year-old that's in an induced coma that needs a heart transplant. To me, there's no excuse to even do something like that, you know?
But it doesn't look like the robber is going to keep people down. Community members have put together a fundraiser for the girl and are giving everything they can to help with her bills. A New York City police officer even saves lives on vacation. Albert Mammon is a veteran officer with the NYPD. Last Sunday, he used his police training to help save the life of a teen who was drowning at a South Florida beach. He saw the teen screaming for help, and with help from several other Good Samaritans, he was able to jump in and save his life.
Kudos to you and to your department, and I'm formally going to be sending your commissioner a letter. We thank God also that he was at the right place at the right time.
The officer has since gone back home to New York, but people on the beach that day say they will never forget his heroism.
ISIS is not only destroying towns and families' lives, the group is now destroying history. The terror group recently burned down the Mosul Public Library. It was home to more than 8,000 rare books and manuscripts. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization is calling this, quote, one of the most devastating acts of destruction of library collections in human history.
A shocking secret. One mother's claims and how much they're costing a community.
1 in a million, the unique babies that very few get a chance to welcome into the world.
The trails that welcome bicyclists in El Paso, and who should really be using them in tonight's Carpe Diem, next on KFOX 14, News at 9.
El Paso has a number of trails, and it's building new trails and fixing existing trails. But how to find these trails if you've never really been an avid bicyclist is a bit of a challenge. So we're here with Rick Rivas of the El Paso Bike Club. How do you know where you're supposed to go with your bike?
Well, we have a list of rides that we publish, and we have weekly rides on our website. One of our favorites is the Trans Mountain and the trail.
Right.
And we have a real hard ride. We call it the Crazy 8, where you get to do Trans Mountain 2 times. We usually ride sometimes on the bike trails and sometimes on the actual road. But we ride in groups.
What do you know about how vast the expansion is going to be for bicyclists on these trails?
It's a few years out. There's some trails that are hardly used, like on the west side. There's one on Red. Mesa doesn't have any trails. There's a newly created trail here. There's a river trail that's really nice along the river and so forth. We do a lot of riding on the road from here to Mesilla on Highway 28.
Yep.
And from here to Santa Teresa border crossing, Columbus Highway and so forth.
How important is it for people to know about trails if they're thinking about getting started biking?
Beginners, because you're out of the way of the traffic. So you can get used to your bike. If you want to use clips, you get used to your clips on the trails. You don't have traffic to worry about. You practice your balance on the bike. You got to keep your line on your bike. You can't do abrupt moves when you're riding with groups. So trails are a good way to practice for beginners. Out of the way of the traffic, practice balance on your bike, clipping and so forth.
Tomorrow, we'll take a look at just what you need to buy or borrow to get started with street biking. KFOX 14, Carpe Diem. For a link to some of the trails in the borderland, go to kfoxtv.com and click on the Community tab.
Texas Tech medical students are hosting the Students United Para Nuestra Salud Health Fair. It's happening this weekend in Northeast El Paso. The event will provide free healthcare screenings for things like blood pressure, glucose levels, and dental health. Free vaccines will also be available for children and adults.
This is a great way to kind of at least get screened for our patients who maybe are our citizens who don't have the ability to get in and see a physician.
The health fair takes place Saturday from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon at the Texas Tech Physicians Family Medical Center on Kenworthy. The El Paso Fire Department teams up with the Public Health Department to keep you healthy through flu season. This Saturday, they are hosting a Vaccinations for Health event. They'll provide free flu and pneumonia vaccines, blood pressure and glucose screenings, along with colorectal screening kits for senior citizens. The event starts at 2 Saturday afternoon at Mary Webb Park on East Missouri.
A community is very angry after a woman takes money from them in a horrible way. She's a mother guilty of taking donations after lying about her daughter having cancer. 6 people and multiple organizations in Iowa were in court today with copies of their checks and bank statements. They say the mother took more than $35,000 in donations. She since has been sentenced to 5 years probation for scamming people and even giving her daughter cancer treatments as part of the hoax.
It was tough to hear it, but we're glad she's okay. If somebody asked us to do it again, we would do it again.
A local church that held multiple fundraisers for the little girl is now asking the judge for about $3,000 in restitution to donate to a charity of their choice. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity comes to one family as they welcome their 3 new babies. The Michigan family recently hit the jackpot with their identical triplets. And what's really remarkable is that these babies were conceived naturally. No fertility treatments involved, and multiples don't even run in the family's history. Even the family's doctor was surprised.
The fact that they're identical is something incredible. It's the first identical triplet that I've seen. I've been in neonatology for 40 years.
The triplets are finally home after spending about a month in the neonatal intensive care unit. All of them are in good health. The couple already has 2 boys at home. And in case you're wondering, the parents say they are not going to be trying for a girl.
An expensive name. The amount Radio Shack could sell its title for.
Running for change. It's not too late to register. How you can sign up for the Race for the Cure.
Lower Valley residents will have a new place to play basketball this fall. The city of El Paso today broke ground on the Yucca Park basketball court. It's being built next to an existing basketball court in the southeast corner of the park. The improvements also include additional lighting, pathways, and park benches near the court.
We're also unveiling our shovel project, and this is a really neat project where we have 8 adult shovels and 6 child-sized shovels that were painted. The blade was painted by students, teachers, and a principal of YISD, and it's just an artistic project that we're moving along for each one of our groundbreaking ceremonies.
The $141,000 project is funded by Quality of Life bonds and should be completed in August.
In your Consumer Watch, the mountains may be one of the first things you notice when you visit El Paso, but another place that marks a first impression is the hotel where you stay. Best Western Plus, located in the airport corridor, used to be a Holiday Inn and today celebrated its grand opening and ribbon cutting. It's now been remodeled and rebranded. Esperanto Development invested in the new hotel, and City Representative Emma Acosta says this is a big deal for El Paso.
This is the first views that people traveling from the airport get, and so we're very proud of him that he's invested so much money in El Paso. This is what makes El Paso great.
The hotel will also offer guests some entertainment and restaurant options. YouTube releases a new app just for kids. Many parents have concerns how easily children can get their hands on inappropriate videos through YouTube, and now it looks like those days can end. YouTube Kids is full of colorful pictures and fun sound effects, along with age-appropriate videos and a simplified design.
My little cousin, she'll get on YouTube and, you know, anything can pop up, all these ads and stuff, so I think it's great. I think it's great that they have control over it now.
The app is available for free on Google Play and in the App Store for Androids and iOS devices.
Radio Shack is making one last-ditch effort to make some cash by selling its name. And it's not going to be cheap for the buyer. The company's largest shareholder has agreed to bid $20 million for the Radio Shack name, along with some intellectual property. Other companies can join in on the bidding war before an auction takes place on March 23rd. Also, about 2,000 Radio Shack stores will be going up for auction next month.
A big event put on by some small stars. Check out who's recreating the Oscars after the break.
And down temperatures. The other weather changes on the increase are in your 5-day forecast with the weekend always in view coming up on KFOX 14 News at 9.
If you have a news story, call the KFOX 14 News hotline at 845-KFOX. Or in New Mexico, call 575-524-1414.
With the El Paso Race for the Cure just a few days away, KFOX 14 would like to remind you it's not too late to register. A quarter of the money raised from registration fees goes to National Breast Cancer Research. One committee member says registrations are down this year, with just 8,000 people expected to participate. Also this year, the Susan G. Komen Race has moved to a new location.
Our new location this year, downtown El Paso. The course will take you through parts of downtown El Paso, and it will begin and end at the Chihuahua Stadium.
The 23rd annual Komen Race for the Cure takes place Sunday morning. To find out where you can register, go to kfoxtv.com and click on links mentioned.
Some younger stars are hitting the red carpet in New York. A group of Long Island kids reenacted a big red carpet event this week. They strutted down the carpet in designer gowns for an Oscar shoot meant for children. A local photographer put it all together, showing off a great group of stars to be.
We are recreating 7 different looks from the red carpet that I thought were really interesting, some that I thought were very, could be kid appropriate, so maybe a few adjustments, but still kid appropriate, and some of the ones that people are talking about, so I'm really excited about it.
It took the photographer and her team only 24 hours to put the whole shoot together.
Now, Sandra has your 5-day forecast with the weekend always in view.
Well, we have cooler temperatures again tomorrow, but you'll notice how quickly we jump back to above average with strong southwest winds. And that warm weather comes to an end again with yet another cold front on Monday, cooling us back to the 50s. We have several things going on next week, but we also have about a 20% chance for some showers both Monday and Tuesday. And don't forget that you can carry our forecast with you on your smartphone or tablet by downloading our KFOX Severe Weather app from the Apple Store or Google Play.
We have an update on tonight's top stories next on KFOX 14 News at 9.
And that's like a slap in the face.
As tomorrow's deadline looms, a former Children's Hospital board member says children should not give in to University Medical Center's demands. The reason, he says, bankruptcy could be a good option.
Caring for veterans at home, the VA program in Las Cruces that provides health care services at home, and how VA officials say they'll soon be able to serve more veterans.
Turning tragedy into hope, the new law to help prevent suicide among veterans, and how it will bring in new doctors. And our top stories update next on KFOX 14 News at 9.
If you're just joining us, we have tonight's top stories starting right now.
A new law hopes to curb the high suicide rates among veterans.
KFOX 14 News at 9's Megan Lopez tells us what it could mean for borderland veterans.
The Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention Act for American veterans will create a one-stop shop website to help them get in touch with people who can help. The Department of Defense says 22 veterans commit suicide each and every day. The new law was named after one of those veterans who committed suicide. The new law creates more oversight of prevention programs, streamlines cooperation between the government and non-profit organizations, and creates a new pilot program to attract psychiatrists into the profession. Crystal.
The Las Cruces VA is expanding home-based primary care to help more veterans in the comfort of their own homes. The VA started this program last year, providing both physical and mental health care services to veterans who are unable to easily make it to the clinic for an appointment on their own. Last year, they served more than 90 veterans and say that number should go up this year. The program manager says they've expanded their services to Deming, Alamogordo, and more rural areas. They also say that by the end of March, they'll have more workers on staff to serve more veterans who are on a waiting list.
A former El Paso Children's Hospital board member says University Medical Center's ultimatum is like a slap in the face as tomorrow's deadline looms. This comes after UMC gave Children's until close of business tomorrow to accept or deny terms that would give UMC nearly full control of the hospital's finances, CEO, and board. Dr. Carlos Gutierrez says he's been fighting for a children's hospital in El Paso for the last 3 decades. As we reported, UMC claims the Children's Hospital owes nearly $90 million as of December 31st. Dr. Gutierrez says bankruptcy could show the community that the Children's Hospital answers to the public, not UMC. He also says if Children's accepts UMC's terms, specialists working at the Children's Hospital might not want to work under near full UMC control. And that's it for KFOX 14 News at 9. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Erica Castillo.
And I'm John Purvis. Be sure to catch the KFOX 14 Morning News from 5 to 8. Good night.